What's up guys, Zac Perna here, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to get rid of that stubborn fat that won't go anywhere. Oh, and check this intro. But before we get into that, I do want to give you guys a little physique update because I'm not sure if you know, but I've been dieting for the last maybe 7 weeks now. Dieting for the last 7 weeks. So I'll give you guys a quick look so you can see where I'm at physically and how this diet's been. Okay, now that we got some downlight, this is current physique first thing in the morning. I've dropped about 5 kilos, I'd say, dropped 4 or 5 kilos. A lot of fluff. Legs are starting to come through, still no calves, but you know, what do you expect? It's just that everything is like leaning up quite nicely, mainly upper body, which is, that's expected for me. My upper body gets lean a lot easier than everything else. Triceps, shoulders coming through, a lot on the chest as well. But the lower abs is just such a bitch to get rid of for me. I can go through a whole cut for 10 weeks and still be able to like have this big pinch here. So it's getting there, but it's just one of those stubborn areas that won't leave. So that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today was this stubborn fat. I'd say I probably have another, all up, like 2 kilos to go until I'm like where I'm happy with body fat wise, and that'll be quite lean, so that'll be exciting. In terms of calories as well, calories are now at about 2,000, come down from about 2,800 to 3,000, I'm pretty sure. If I really tracked the oils meticulously, it might have been about 3,000, but now I'm just being consistent with like whatever oils or butters I'm using when I'm cooking, and I'm being consistent with the exact amounts. I'm not just give or take this, because then you give or taking like 300 calories. Cardio is still 1 hour daily. It's kind of just at this point now where I'm just going through and ticking the boxes and doing the same thing every day, and it seems to be working, I hope. But anyway, let's start talking about that stubborn body fat and how you guys can get rid of it. We rolling? We good? Okay. So one of the questions I always get is, hey Zac, I've got this stubborn fat, how do I get rid of it? Like, it is literally probably once a day type thing. And it's best summed up by this little scenario. This is what I think about when these people tell me this. Hey Zac, can I ask you a quick question? Sure man, what's going on? Okay, so I've got this stubborn fat right here that just won't go. What do you mean it won't go? It won't go. Man, how long have you tried this? A whole week. Have you tried reasoning with it? That is f***ing stubborn. I know. So you guys see how that kind of is just ridiculous when you actually put it into words and you realize that these people have only been trying for like a month at best. Whether they're in a calorie deficit or not, they probably don't even know. So I'll talk a little bit about what stubborn fat is essentially. And like I was saying before, everybody has it on different areas. So for guys, usually it's the stubborn fat is the fat that is around their midsection, and it doesn't go very easily. It's when you bulk up, so when you start to put on muscle and you start gaining a little bit of fat as well, it's generally the first place that the fat stores. So when I do an off season, I always notice first place is like lower abs. It just starts to get a bit fluffier, and then my midsection gets a bit fluffier. Meanwhile, very lean arms, lean shoulders, whatnot. Like I'll have a shredded back and no abs. I wanna have a 6-pack and then I can't just say, oh yeah, but look at my back, like nah. So anyway, back on that. And then it's also the last place the fat is gonna go. So just because it's the last place the fat's gonna go, it doesn't mean that it's not gonna go. It just means that you're not giving enough time and you might not be doing the right things. So at least we can agree that the stubborn fat is just the fat that is last to go. It's not like it's impossible to burn. It's just hanging around. It's not listening. It's not being compliant. You tell it to go away and it just goes, nah, I'm good here. So I'm gonna give you guys 3 tips. These are seriously easy and simple, but sometimes you just need to hear it for reassurance and just to know that you're doing the right thing. 1, make sure you're eating at a calorie deficit. So make sure you're actually burning more calories than you're eating so that you can burn fat in the first place. You can't say, I've got all this stubborn fat and then you're eating 10 Big Macs a day. It's like, yeah, no shit. So make sure you're eating at a calorie deficit first and that you're losing body fat, but don't just look at your weakest area as your only measure. So if you wake up and after a week of dieting, you look at your stomach and you're like, I can't notice a change. But are you looking at your legs, your calves? Like my calves get disgustingly shredded. And then I've got a fat stomach. And I'm like, cruel God, like why do you do this? So you have to look at your whole body. That's why body weight is good, because you can see an overall trend. It's not everything, but you can see a trend. So 1, make sure you're eating at a calorie deficit. 2, exercise more. Now this is just working at the other end of the calorie equation. You're just burning more calories so that you can burn more than you're consuming. It's as simple as that. If you're doing half an hour of cardio a day, up it to 45 minutes. If you're doing 45, maybe do an hour. On that, make sure you're tracking your steps in the day so that you're moving around throughout the day and not just sitting down. That's why I wear this. I like to make sure that I get a certain amount of steps in a day. Otherwise I feel like I'm not very active. So that's one way that I track my expenditure, but everybody's different. And the third one is the most important, and it is be patient. A lot of people want to see the results in a week or 2 weeks, and then they keep looking at their stomach every single day, and they're thinking it's just stubborn, it's not moving. I mean, it's got to get burnt. You actually have to think about how much, you grab a chunk of fat. You got to burn that off each cell at a time. So give it time, guys. You want to lose like 300 to 500 grams of weight a week, and that is a good cut. That is a solid cut. So if you're carrying kilos of body fat elsewhere and you're looking at your stomach, you're not giving it enough time. So if you're in a calorie deficit in the first place, just hang on. There's so many people out there that make up these like fad kind of diets and fad protocols to, target stubborn fat. But I don't know if I've said this before, but just hear me now. You can't spot reduce body fat. You just can't. So if you're training abs, trying to reveal your abs, all you're doing is building the abdominal muscles underneath the fat. You can't choose where your body's gonna take fat from. It just does it. So the people that think, nah, it's just not moving, it is literally physics. So if you're in a deficit and you're burning more than you're consuming, and you've got this stored body fat, which is stored energy, your body is gonna take calories from that. So yes, it might prefer to take calories from the fat in your legs, the fat in your calves, the fat in your face. It sounds funny. It might prefer to take from there first because it's easier, but it doesn't mean that when you're still in a deficit after 10, 12 weeks of dieting, it's not gonna pull the calories from the fats in your stomach. So that's the thing. So I know for a fact with me, every time I diet, that's the stubborn area is my lower abs. And I'm always looking at it every day. And it's frustrating, but it's not like I'm losing hope. I know that I can get as lean as I'd like to get. It just takes time. So give yourself enough time, guys, and just be patient and trust the process. A lot of people throw that word around. They just say, yeah, trust the process. And they're not even in a deficit. They're just going through the motions. So make sure you've got a checklist that you're in a deficit, you're doing enough exercise in a day, you're eating well, and then just give it time. And I promise you guys, it will go. Sometimes you just need to hear that from someone, just a bit of reassurance to say you're doing the right thing, give it time, reassess in a few weeks, and it'll go. But just a quick one today, guys. That's all I wanted to leave you with. And I hope that you kind of get a better understanding about this. And if you feel like, you're one of the girls with, stubborn fat around their legs, or one of the guys with stubborn fat around their stomach, know that if you're in a deficit for long enough, you're doing the right things, it will go. You don't need to resort to any other crazy diets. You don't need to do a keto diet if you don't want to. You don't need to do fasting for 48 hours every single day. Okay, good math, Zach, 48 hours a day. You just don't. You just need to be consistent, and you need to trust the process. So if you enjoyed this, if you took something out of it, make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. Unless you don't like me, in which case I don't recommend you do all of that, and I'm still surprised you're watching this. But otherwise, you guys know what to do. Stay mushy. Sexy jeans in my section, and slide into your DMs in the PM and the AM. Then I slide into your feelings when you see just what I'm saying.